Hey everybody, it is August 10th, 2020. We got sent home early from work because we got bad thunderstorms coming, so I'm going to try to do this in one take and as quickly as possible. There will be stutters and errors. I apologize, but what this is this is an addition to Geo-Files episode 6, series 4, What is a Rock? Now, when I was assembling that video, and when I was talking about coal, because I'm going to talk about it here, I noticed, I was like, I thought I did more on this. And I couldn't find the video for the life of me. I didn't download into iCloud, whatever. It just didn't save. And then, of course, I deleted it off my phone, so it's gone. But I do distinctly remember, because we're going to get to that, and I remember doing that, and I'm like, maybe I'll just do a supplemental or something. So that's what we're doing here. Back to the definition of what a rock. I don't need to add to anything an aggregate of one or more minerals. There's also something else that I did put in the video that was in this part that I'm going to touch on. And I ended up putting words in it. It has to do with solidus. You'll see it if you watch the actual episode, which is linked below. That was also part of the coal thing, and it just seemed odd to me that it wasn't there. And at the time, I just didn't realize I had forgotten that I had done it, I should say. So anyway, let's get back to this. I screwed up. It happens. I do that a lot. Anyway, okay, so we're going to talk about coal. Honestly, this part of the definition, or a body of undifferentiated mineral matter, is an attempt to fit the square peg into the round hole. If we just go by this definition, an aggregate of one or more minerals, we cannot include things like mineraloids and coal. So what we did is we added this to basically, you couldn't get it in, but honestly, what we did is we just made the hole bigger, a little more inclusive, right there, so that square peg goes right through, okay? So it was honestly an attempt to make the hole bigger so the peg could fit in. And the reason why we've done this, I already went over, is because there's some long-standing things in geology that were considered rocks. Carbonates is another one. So, but we're going to talk about coal because that's the one I left out on. I'm going to get a solidus and liquidus. All right, coal, or a body of undifferentiated mineral matter. What does that mean? Well, matters of mineral beds, grains, stuff like that. Clay, silt, fine sand, that kind of stuff. Even though coal is mostly dead plant material, it gets compacted. This is your plant leaves or whatever, ferns, whatever they are. They get compacted, but there's other stuff in between there. There might be very fine sand or some silt, some clay, maybe even some carbonates, stuff like that gets stuck in there. And coals are part of what we call cyclothems. Cyclothems have kind of lost their favorability in stratigraphic classification. That's a talk for another time. So, a body of undifferentiated mineral matter, if you have coal and you have organic things in here, but you have a lot of other little stuff in between it, and sometimes it's also sulfur. Like the coals in Illinois, we don't burn them in the U.S. because we actually have regulations. Instead, we ship it all to China and they burn it there because of its high sulfur content. And sulfur is unquestionably forms a mineral. So that was the part I left out about coal. Now, I mentioned solidus and liquidus, and I'm just going to touch on that because in order to be a mineral, you have to be a solid. I've already talked about this. Like I said, the episode's linked below. Well, there's a gray area in between liquid and solid. It's the liquidus solidus line, and in between there. And it has to do with geothermal gradients and stuff like that. But that stuff still is not technically, that gray area in between. So you have your liquid, you have your liquidus state, and then you have your solidus state, and then you have your solid. So just think of that as a little box. We're talking about this area right here. And this is unquestionably rock forming. This is unquestionably not rock forming. You have this gray area. We do not include that mainly because you don't have stable minerals. You may have some minerals in here, and you're not going to have total minerals. You still have a little bit of a melt. But like I've shown you guys Bones Reaction Series before. I don't have it at the ready here, I don't think. But as plagioclase forms from a melt, as it solidifies, as it cools into a solid, that plagioclase can alter to K-spar, so it's not stable. So it's not truly in its solid form at that point. So we don't include those items. All right? So I just want to make that clear. And I also mentioned we don't include mixtures because mixtures aren't treated. I mean, solid is a solid is a solid, and we don't include mixtures. We don't include the gray area or anything like that. All right, I think that's it. I hope that didn't go too long. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and I hope you learned something.